Before you check your phone, before you face the world, say these 5 things to yourself every morning, and watch how your entire life begins to shift. In a world flooded with noise, urgency, and emotional chaos, the first voice you hear each morning should be your own, grounded, calm, and rooted in truth. The Stoics believed the morning was sacred not for rush or worry, but for preparation. They used it to align their minds, to armor themselves with clarity, and to remind themselves of what really matters. In this video, we reveal 5 powerful Stoic affirmations you should say to yourself every morning. They are mental resets forged from ancient wisdom, designed to bring you focus, resilience, and inner peace. Every morning presents a rare opportunity, a blank canvas, a chance to begin again, to recalibrate your thoughts, and to remember what truly matters. The world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions the moment you open your eyes. Notifications, deadlines, expectations. But before you engage with any of it, pause. There is immense power in the first words. You speak to yourself. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the quality of your day is shaped not by what happens, but by what you choose to believe as you meet each moment. Before you step into the storm of daily life, you must step into your own mind and make it strong. This is where the inner fortress is built, not in the middle of chaos, but in that quiet morning moment where you remind yourself who you are and how you will carry yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, not to chase after distractions or to prove something to the world, but to live wisely, to act justly, to speak truthfully, and to remain undisturbed by the noise of others." Morning is the beginning of this sacred battle to remain free from anger, free from fear, and free from illusion. You are not just preparing your body for the day, you are preparing your soul, and the words you feed your mind in the morning shape the lens through which you see the entire world. If you remind yourself that you are not owed anything, you become grateful for everything. If you remind yourself that people will insult you, test you, and challenge your patience, you walk into the day unshaken when it happens. If you remind yourself that your time is limited, you become mindful of every passing minute. A Stoic morning is not about optimism or toxic positivity. It is about clarity. It is about facing the truth. Life is difficult. People can be cruel. Outcomes are uncertain, and still choosing to meet it all with dignity, courage, and inner stillness. This mindset is not built in a moment. It is built every morning, with repetition, with intention, and with the refusal to let the world decide what kind of day you will have. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to win the approval of strangers. You are not even here to control what happens to you. You are here to master your response, to rise above impulses, to observe your emotions without being ruled by them, to stay grounded in what you can control, your values, your character, your actions. And each morning, before the world speaks, you speak to yourself. You lay the foundation. You become unbreakable not by force, but by philosophy. Each morning, as the world wakes in chaos, noise, and distractions, the Stoic invites himself to silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of inner clarity. The second thing a Stoic tells himself each day is this: I am in control of my responses. This principle, taken directly from Epictetus, is not simply a comforting phrase. It's a call to war against your reflexes, against your impulses, and against the part of your mind that wants to blame others for your emotional turbulence. Every encounter, be it someone cutting you off in traffic, a bitter co-worker, or unexpected news, is an opportunity. You are not the slave of circumstance. You are the master of how you interpret and respond to it. This morning reminder is a shield. It reminds you that people may insult you, but they cannot humiliate you unless you accept their insult. Events may be unpredictable, but they cannot disturb your soul unless you surrender your peace. The moment you begin the day with this truth, you no longer walk into the world defenseless. You walk armored with self. Your energy is conserved. Your mind is sharpened. Instead of reacting, you respond with intention. From this position of power, the third thing a Stoic tells himself each morning is this: I will die. Yes, it may sound grim, but it is one of the most liberating thoughts a person can hold. Memento mori, the remembrance of death, was carved into rings, etched into coins, and spoken aloud by emperors and warriors alike. To a Stoic, it is not morbid, but empowering. Why? Because death renders everything else trivial. The petty arguments, the need to impress others, the regret over yesterday, all dissolve in the face of mortality. When you remind yourself each morning that you may not make it to the end of the day, you stop postponing what truly matters. You start saying I love you without hesitation. You stop scrolling aimlessly and begin living intentionally. You take risks that align with your values and stop fearing failure. Because, in the end, the greatest failure is not to live at all. The Stoic does not fear death. He fears living without honor, without virtue, and without purpose. So, as you stare into the mirror, remember that your time is running out. That is what makes every breath, every step, and every word sacred. The clock is ticking, but to the Stoic, that is not a threat. It is a gift. This mindset leads us to the fourth reminder. External things are not good or bad, they are indifferent. This comes directly from the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic understanding of value. We often assign emotional weight to things. Money, praise, status, outcomes. But the Stoics taught that none of these things are inherently good or evil. What truly matters is how you use them. Wealth, for example, is neither a blessing nor a curse. It is a tool. Like fire, it can cook your food or burn your house down. The same goes for power, fame, even pain. When you begin your day reminding yourself that external events hold no moral weight until you assign it, you free yourself from the chains of emotional dependency. A cancelled meeting, neither good nor bad, just an event, a rude message, not an attack, just words. The Stoic does not depend on the world behaving a certain way to feel peace. He understands that peace comes from proper judgment, and that judgment begins by stripping events of unnecessary drama. This attitude allows you to remain calm while others panic, focused while others are distracted, and graceful while others rage. You no longer demand that the universe aligns with your preferences. Instead, you align your character with reality. And finally, the fifth Stoic principle to tell yourself each morning is this. I was not born to please others, but to live according to reason. This strikes at the core of modern suffering, the desperate craving for validation. The Stoic recognizes that people-pleasing is a subtle form of slavery. When your peace depends on other people's opinions, you have handed over the keys to your life. You've allowed strangers to dictate your joy, your decisions, and your identity. The Stoic stands in quiet rebellion against this. He reminds himself each day that his duty is not to be liked, applauded, or admired. His duty is to reason, to think clearly, act justly, and walk in accordance with nature and virtue. If others approve, so be it. If they don't, so be it. Their opinions, like the wind, blow one way today and another tomorrow. But the Stoic anchors himself not to the wind, but to wisdom. This reminder liberates you. It allows you to speak the truth even when it's unpopular. It gives you the courage to walk your path even when others mock you. It keeps your inner compass pointed north when the crowd is spinning in circles. And most importantly, it helps you look at your reflection each morning with dignity, not because you're perfect, but because you are living with integrity. So as the world wakes up each day in a frenzy of comparison, insecurity, and emotional volatility, the Stoic begins with 5 quiet affirmations that serve as a map back to the self. Today is not promised. I am in control of my responses. I will die, and that gives me power. External things are indifferent. I live for reason, not approval. These are not just words. They are weapons in the war for your mind. Say them, live them, become unshakable. So, when you wake up and tell yourself, I will not fear discomfort, you're not just reciting a motivational phrase, you are conditioning your mind to meet life on life's terms. Because everything worth doing, building, or becoming will require you to stretch beyond comfort. Marcus Aurelius himself reminded us that you were born for hardship, and not in the dramatic sense of endless suffering, but in the quiet reality that human life is a discipline. Every great achievement requires discipline. Every moment of growth comes from resistance. And every meaningful transformation begins with a willingness to endure something that feels uncomfortable. Whether it's a hard conversation, a long workout, a period of loneliness, or the daily battle with your own impulses, the Stoic knows that strength is a muscle, not a gift. It is trained through friction. Discomfort is the gym of the mind. That's why you must welcome it, even when it scares you. The fourth thing to remind yourself each morning is this. I will not be ruled by external events. This is the heart of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. The belief that while we cannot choose what happens around us, we always choose how we respond. That freedom, as Epictetus said, is not found in changing the world but in mastering our own inner life. Think about how much energy people waste trying to control what they cannot, other people's opinions, traffic, the economy, the weather, social media trends, the past. It's all outside of our hands. And yet, most of our anxiety, anger, and bitterness comes from trying to wrestle with things that are simply not ours to command. The Stoic man or woman wakes up and says, "Today, I will own only what is mine, my reasoned choice, my response, my attitude." And with that single thought, they are already freer than most people will ever be, because they've stopped outsourcing their peace to a world that never promised stability. You may walk into a chaotic meeting, receive an unfair email, face rejection, or see plans fall apart. But if your inner compass remains stable, then you are unbreakable. That's what Stoicism is about, not emotional numbness, but inner sovereignty. So, each morning, repeat it again. I will not be ruled by external events. I am responsible for my mind. In that declaration lies your power. And now, we come to the fifth and final principle. I will live today as if it's my last. It's easy to dismiss this line but the Stoics didn't mean it in a reckless or romantic way. They didn't say, live like there's no tomorrow, so you could party hard or escape responsibility. No, they meant, live fully, live with intention, live in such a way that if death came tonight, you could meet it without regret. Seneca wrote, while we wait for life. And that's the tragedy of so many people. They wait for the perfect moment, for a better mood, for the approval of others, for a sense of readiness that may never arrive. And in the meantime, the days pass them by. The Stoic wakes up and recognizes that this day, this sunrise, this breath, is not guaranteed, that each moment is a borrowed gift, and so they don't waste it in petty arguments, in mindless scrolling, in chasing status, or in rehearsing past pain. They show up, they focus, they love more deeply, they speak more honestly, they take the risk, they forgive faster, they become what they say they value. Because the greatest tragedy is not death, it's living a life you're not proud of, then running out of time to change it. So, yes, each morning, before the world demands your energy, your notifications flood in, or your calendar begins its tyranny, pause and speak to yourself not with anxiety, but with purpose. Remind yourself of these 5 things. I will face what I fear. I will not be a slave to my emotions. I will not fear discomfort. I will not be ruled by external events. And I will live today as if it's my last. These are not just words, they are reminders of the kind of person you want to become. And when repeated daily, they don't just inspire, they transform. That is the Stoic way. Not dramatic, not loud, not showy, but consistent, disciplined, and free. The Stoics didn't just survive the storms of life, they stood still in them. Every morning is a chance to do the same. Let these words become a part of you. Repeat them, reflect on them, let them guide how you think, act, and react. And when the world pulls at your peace, remember you've already chosen your mindset before the day even began. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more ancient wisdom made modern. Your journey to inner strength has already begun.